All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Saturday morning new distributor training. My name is Fred Holmes. I'm an independent distributor with Zija International, and it's always my great pleasure to be able to take a few minutes on Saturday mornings, share some information with our brand new distributors. For those of you that are maybe first-time attendees, welcome. Good to have you with us. Thank you for coming by my home office. It's nice to have all of you drop by the house this morning. I noted there's a number of you that are our field leadership. I see Reed Nelson, certainly a privilege to have somebody with his tenure in the industry dropping in. And if you're wondering, yes, it was kind of a challenge this morning getting started on time. Some of you missed the customary prelude music. I also kind of missed that. I always kind of like to warm up a little bit like that. Anyway, this morning, this is kind of a special edition of new distributor training, and it was prompted from one of our newest gold distributors, Tanya Valdez. Maybe some of you were able to catch that broadcast on Thursday evening, hearing Tanya's story about her and her family's journey, if you will, in network marketing. Literally, I believe she said it was something like 29 years in the making to find Zija International. And for those of you that maybe haven't, gotten off to the fast start that you wanted, you've been exposed to some of the, in some cases, unbelievable success stories that we have. I want you to be aware that any kind of overnight success that one might achieve in any endeavor, there's always a story behind the story. It's impossible to achieve high-level success instantly. You need to do it incrementally. I mean, my story's, very, very much like most people's. When I started in the industry 32 years ago, I believe, my very first company, I spent 2 years there. And it was a lot of hard work, and I did well. Certainly not at the level that I had anticipated, but it takes time to season, to learn the skill sets, to develop the posture, the mindset that creates true high-level success. The second company hit them at the right point in time in the growth curve. I was right ahead of the masses. We grew that company incredibly fast over a period of several years, and I was able to retire. I would not have been able to capitalize on what that company was going to accomplish in that period of time had I not had some training, some seasoning, and that sort of thing. That's what today is about. Saturday mornings is my way to give back to the industry, to share some of the knowledge that I've achieved over the years, or that I've acquired over the years, perhaps to give you a little bit easier path than I had when I first started in this industry, perhaps to give you a little bit of a jump start, whereas most people like myself have to figure out what the most successful people know. For many of you, you're going to have an opportunity to already know that, and then it's simply a matter of putting the time and the activities in, the correct activities to achieve the success you're looking for. So this morning, our topic is the #1 tool that a new Zija distributor is going to use to build a successful business. And while there are many tools we're going to use, the most important one, in my humble opinion, is your story. And this is one of the advantages I had. When I started with Zija International, understand I'd already been successful in the industry. I was already a documented 7-figure income earner in the industry. The day I launched my Zija business, first, I positioned myself for that first day I was going to launch the business. I positioned myself correctly with the greatest amount of advantage that I could have. Secondly, the day I launched, I already understood exactly what to do and why I was doing it. And I want to share this with you. And I'm hoping that you take some time, grab your journal, write down some notes. I've got dozens of these things over the years. They're not as nice as this one is now. I can, afford the nice leather bound ones. This one happens to be from Jim Rohn's company, the late Jim Rohn. But it started out using, spiral bound notebooks, the kind of thing you get for $1 a piece. And I was constantly writing down the things that I heard, thoughts that I had, information I got from audio cassette tapes, to create a library of knowledge. And so I encourage you to do that today. When I started with Zija International, I had one goal, one priority, was to create my initial fast start story. And the reason for that's very simple. Once I had a story of my own, as opposed to, my upline stories of others that were in the company, once I had my own story, that was going to be, first of all, my #1 recruiting tool, okay, because I could either go to somebody or go back to somebody I'd spoken to a few weeks earlier and tell them, this is what's happened to me. I can document that you can make money doing this. There was even a bigger consideration, and that was that my story would then be used to assist my new team members as they were just getting started. They didn't have a success story yet, but they would be prospecting, recruiting other people to join their team. And in the absence of their own story, they could rely on the stories of others. In this case, myself. I could be sharing my story with a prospective distributor, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 levels deep. And so my personal story was going to be my #1 tool. Now, most people don't recognize how important this is. You should put this in your notes. It is easier to get off to a fast start than a slow start. And a lot of people don't get this. They think, well, I really don't have a lot of time right now. I want to just kind of get started, start a little slow, build, progressively. I get that. I understand that. I'm just trying to tell you, if you're looking for a path of least resistance, if you're looking for what you would want to do to make this as easy as possible, let me share this with you. It is easier to get off to a fast start than a slow start. And I understood that the day I started, because it was all going to be about my story. And I want you to think about 2 different stories. Let me share my story with you, okay? Before I got involved in this industry, I was a cross-country truck driver. I was looking for a way to create substantially above average income, to be able to help my son as he entered school, and also to be able to have more time freedom to be able to take care of him. And when I saw Zija International, it was obvious this was the company that was going to create, many, many, many very successful people. We had the right leadership, the right, products. And what I did is I started with a diamond pack. I got the maximum amount of product I could get. I plugged into the simple duplicatable system, the system that creates success with the masses. And within my first 2 weeks in the company, I'd been able to develop 6 customers. I had 3 distributors. They joined the teams with diamond packs like I did, and I helped them get a couple of distributors. And within the first 2 weeks, not only did I recoup all of that initial cost of the product, I actually made a couple of $100 extra. I was in profit in 2 weeks. Now, that story does a number of things, okay? And I'm going to be talking about the 3 specific elements of the story in a moment, and you kind of go back and review my story. Most importantly, what it did is it gave a path for the prospective distributor on what they should do if they want my results. I talked about positioning myself with my first initial product order. I talked about following a simple system, key to success. Follow the simple system. And then I talked about the results that I had. Now here's a different story, and you tell me which one you think makes the most sense. I got started with Zija a year and a half ago. Love the products. Really haven't done much, haven't made any money. It's been a year and a half, and that's why I called you, because I'm not making any money. Okay, thought I'd call you and see if you'd be interested in joining my business. And that's kind of an artificial story, but you see the difference. It is so much easier to get off to a fast start than a slow start, because your story is going to be what causes people to want to look. And let me make another quick point. In our profession, it is common that somebody gets involved as a distributor, and it may be from the product path. They love the products, they got on the products, got great results, their friends want to get on the products, and that motivated them to maybe get involved as a distributor. For others, like me, I got involved in this profession because I needed to make more money. And I didn't see any place out there where a guy with my background, my skill set, could create a six-figure income and have time freedom and flexibility within my day-to-day schedule. Whatever the reason is that one gets involved, understand why people get involved. And you need to look at this from your own self, from your own, what your experience has been. In Zija, we're very fortunate. We've got the best company in the profession. I mean, let's be realistic right now. There's a lot of larger companies, but the potential for growth of an individual distributor is so much better with Zija. That we're going to be going from like 100 million plus a year to 200 million to 300 million to 500 million. Being in Zija today allows you to be ahead of the growth curve and grow with the company, whereas there's a number of good companies out there, but they're already 500 million a year, $1 billion a year, several billion a year. There's not a lot of room for you to grow with the company. We've got the who's who of the multi-level marketing profession in terms of our corporate leadership. We've got the infrastructure. I mean, there's companies out there that do $1 billion a year, and they don't have the level and quality of infrastructure we have. I'm just going to tell you that nobody out there has the products we have. Okay, we have such a wide, diversified line of products, quality products, science-based products. There isn't a company that I've ever seen in this industry, and I've been around now over 30 years, that looks like Zija and has the potential of Zija like we have today. Now, we think that people get involved because of facts, information, all of the things that I'm sharing with you. You have to understand, the vast majority of people won't even look if they don't believe there's an opportunity. People make an emotional decision. They're emotionally predisposed to join if the stories are attractive. And at that point in time, once people believe there's opportunity here, then all of the things we think we need to share. The Ken Brailsford story, hundreds of thousands of square feet of manufacturing, office, distribution, plantations for our products. All those kinds of things simply reinforce a decision that the new person was already predisposed to make based upon the stories of success of others. Okay, so hopefully you get that. Now, let's talk about creating the story. And I always like to go back to something Jim Rohn said many years ago. The impact of this simple little statement is lost on a lot of people, but it is probably the most foundational element of success in our type of business. Number one, have a good story to tell. And see, that's in our control. Okay, have a good story to tell. Number two, Jim said, learn how to tell the story well. Have a good story to tell and learn how to tell it well. And then the third thing, this is the key. If you share a good story often enough, it will eventually fall on good ears. Okay, and that's all we're looking for, is to create a good story, learn how to share that story effectively with the correct impact, and then finally, do what we do. Talk to people, share our products, share our opportunities, teach others to do the same, and our story, our good story, will eventually fall on the proper ears, the correct ears, the ones that were waiting to hear our story. People always say, well, who should I be talking to? People that are looking for us. Okay, don't worry about the people that want to stay fat and sick the rest of their life. Okay, move on. Look for the people that want to be healthy, look better, feel better, have a more vibrant lifestyle. Why share your product story with somebody that is happy being fat and sick, or they say they don't want to be fat and sick as they're slamming another cheeseburger down their throat and chasing it down with a diet pop? Okay, don't waste your time. We're only looking for the people that are looking for us. Same thing with the opportunity. When you got people that are whining, complaining because they can't pay the rent, they can't pay the electricity, they got no money, they can't go on vacation, yet they're not willing to take a few minutes and look at an opportunity that could change their life, tell them to stay broke and dumb the rest of their life. Move on. Okay, we're only looking for the people that are looking for us. Here's another good example. Who are you looking for? Somebody like you. Somebody that's ready to make a change, ready to do something different, ready to fulfill on the promises that they made to their family, to their children, to themselves, to have something different than the masses. That's who we're looking for. And the good thing is, it only takes a few. It only takes a few people to change your life with a Zija business. Now, let's be professionals, okay? Let's learn what we need to do as if, and let me give you an example here. There are people that have gone to 4 years of high school, 4 years of college, pre-med, 4 years of medical school, maybe another couple, 2 or 3 years to become a specialized surgeon, and years of internship, and they're finally able in their mid-30s, late 30s to be a professional. And they're working 60, 80 hours a week or more, and they don't make half of what I make from a home-based business. Okay, and now I'm talking specifically about a surgeon that I had. I call him a young fellow. I think he was probably 38 or 39. Very successful. But the guy worked amazing amount of hours, had decades of education. I'm sure he had hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt from his school. And he doesn't make half of what I make, and I do this part-time from home. Okay, here's the problem. People think that to make, if you have to have a master's degree to make 100,000 a year, you got to have a PhD to make 200. And so they're trying to make this thing too complicated. It's not that complicated, but you do need to learn a few things. So let's talk about the specific elements that create the compelling story. In your notes, number one is your background and motivation to get involved. Okay, your background and motivation. This is, the drama of the story. This is the part that we like to, as distributors, we like to hear, because we're always interested in each other's stories. I was a cross-country truck driver, desperately looking for a way to be able to spend more time with my son and have the financial resources I was going to have to come up with to meet his educational needs. Okay, my background and motivation to make a change. Now, second component of your story, how you got started and what you did. And this is going to be pretty consistent amongst all effective stories. I got started with a diamond pack, and I immediately plugged into the simple duplicatable system. Okay, that's it. That's the story. Now, the third component of the story, number 3, is the results that you received. Because bottom line is, doesn't make any difference how great the company is, how great the product is. Doesn't make any difference how excited and fulfilled you are being around motivated and inspirational people. None of that makes any difference. If somebody wants to make money, what they want to know is, can you make money? And so you need to be able to give results. So again, 3 elements to the story. Number 1, your background and motivation to get involved. Number 2, how you got started and what you did. And number 3, results. Now let's break it down a little bit more. Number 1, background and motivation to get involved. The reason that's an issue is because with enough stories of enough different people, you will have a story that will resonate with your prospect. Okay, if I was a brain surgeon and already been incredibly successful and decided to get involved in Zija because I like the product, well, that might resonate with other brain surgeons or other professionals. Probably going to be a little difficult getting the attention of a truck driver. Okay, because I'm going to be thinking, well, you're a brain surgeon. I'm not also sure I could do what you do. Stay-at-home mom looking for a way to to be able to create some income from home that allows her to continue to stay home. That's a great story. Might not resonate with the professional business person that's used to making a significant income, but is working 80, 100 hours a week managing 3 or 4 different restaurants that they own. Okay, having multiple different stories, you have a much better chance of being able to get the attention of a particular prospect. This is why you develop your own story and you learn how to share your story and the stories of others. But it is that background and motivation, the drama, the human interest part of the story that we start with. I'll give you, a personal example. When I was first introduced to this kind of business, I didn't know anything about the company, but what I saw was a series, probably 24 people in a row, sharing their story in about 60 seconds. And it was, my name is Bob, I'm a fireman, and I'm making over $10,000 a month. My name's Mary Lou, I'm a stay-at-home mom, I'm making over $10,000 a month. My name's Jim, I'm a mattress salesman, I'm making over $10,000 a month. We're Mary Lou and Bob, and we run a small business hardware store in town, we're making over $10,000 a month. It was just over and over and over. And what I realized was that most of those people weren't particularly different than me. It may have had different backgrounds, but it didn't seem to be a lot different than me. And they all had what I wanted, the ability to create an above average income with time, freedom, and flexibility. Here's the other thing I figured out. They couldn't all be lying. Not all of them, right? And at that point in time was when I was introduced to that first company, their products, their marketing plan and pay plan. And it was after I made an emotional decision that I wanted to be part of what these people had, that's when the company story, the product story, the opportunity simply reinforced what it was that I was interested in doing. But I wouldn't have been interested in doing it if there weren't a series of people from different walks of life all sharing a compelling story. So the first one, your background and motivation to get involved, that's the compelling part of the story that gets people to want to have what you have. Now, number 2, how you got started and what you did. It's important to understand this is going to be pretty consistent amongst, across the board in all effective stories, because what we're trying to do with the story is to outline the path that a prospective new distributor would want to take. Okay? Where you got started will tend to be where your people will get started. This is very much a follow the leader type of situation. The vast majority of people that I have introduced Zija to that have joined the company with me, my personal enrollees, the vast majority have started with diamond packs. Why is that? Because I did. That's what I did. All right. This is very much a follow the leader type of business. Is starting with a diamond pack the only way to be successful? Of course not. I've had a number of people start with gold packs. If you don't start with a diamond pack, does that mean you're automatically never going to be successful? Of course not. I've seen people start with personal systems, the enhanced personal system, and go all the way to diamond. All right. It's simply an easier path if you have ample product to not only for personal consumption, but to sample out and not, it's really difficult to build a large business very quickly if you're working with one case of Super Mix and you don't want to go without your Super Mix, right? So you're going to be real stingy sharing. So how I got started, now here's the second component of that step 2, is what I did. I plugged into a simple, duplicatable system, the key to success. Then finally, the results. And I'll get there in a moment, but understand if you can share a story that somebody else can see, if not see themselves in it, can see them being similar to your background. And when you then share the path, if you had a series of stories, well, I started with a gold pack and I plugged into the simple duplicatable system, and within my first 30 days, I made $437. I started with a diamond pack, plugged into the simple duplicatable system. In my first 30 days, I made $1,218. People are the prospective distributors are going to be going, okay, I need to figure out what this gold pack is, what this diamond pack is. I definitely need to figure out what the simple duplicatable system is, because everybody who's been successful is using that system. Now, the last component, and I'm going to wrap this up because I'd like to open this up for question and answer. You know, there's only so much I can do sharing the information. It becomes much more effective for you if I can answer your individual questions. The last component is results. This is the part that most people don't get. It really doesn't make any difference what the results are. In some cases, having those spectacular, almost unbelievable over the top results aren't actually as effective as a more modest result. Okay, but the results have to be tangible. It has to be money. If your results are, and I feel so much more empowered, my personal development's through the roof, I'm so excited and motivated about my future, well, that's all fine and dandy, and we understand that, but that does not attract the new distributor who's looking for a way to make money. Okay, so here's your results, and this is why it's easier to get off to a fast start than a slow start. My first week in Zija, I sampled out to 12 people and ended up with 6 customers in the first week. Well, guess what happened there? First of all, I made some money. Okay. Secondly, I documented that people will buy the product. 12 people, 6 customers. Now, that's pretty good results. Okay. You know, 1 out of 2. That did not happen by accident. It was by design. When I sat down in preparation for the launch of my business and I created my prospect list using the memory jogger, I specifically padded that list of potential customers. I padded it with people that I figured would buy from me, if for no other reason, just to help me out. Okay, there were, you know, my favorite aunt was on there. She's the one that has bought everything from me. When I was a little kid selling, you know, bird seeds and coupon books and whatever, so I could get the, you know, the bicycle. She bought everything from me. Every single thing I've ever sold, she bought from me. I figured she'd buy from me again. You know, my sister was on that list. My sister was going to buy from me. I mean, you know, there's a lot of background there and that sort of thing, but guess what? She was going to buy anyway. I picked the people. Many of those people were certainly people that needed the product. Many of the people were simply people that were already healthy and would be attracted to the product. But many of those people were people that I was looking forward to them being my customer for no other reason than just to help me out. By the end of the second week, I had prospected, I prospected 12 specific people for the business. Okay. I did my memory jogger, and then I culled that memory jogger, and I pulled out 12 people that I was specifically going to make them the first people on my list. They weren't all necessarily the people that I thought were going to be the very best people in my business. Okay, they weren't necessarily my top prospects. A couple of them were. But most importantly, I picked the people that I figured would join my business. Okay, because I was. All right, you know, one of the prerequisites, they had to have a credit card. Okay, this is actually kind of humorous. It's so common. The brand new person in network marketing business, when they sit down to put together their list, the top 10 people on that list are people that are dead broke. Okay, the ones that most recently came to them to borrow money. All right. The ones that, you know, are homeless and sleeping in their car. Why? Because they need opportunity. Folks, let me tell you something. It's not always this way. But a lot of times, people's lack of success in their life has very little to do with the opportunities that have come their way, and has everything to do with who they are. Okay. Uh, I do a little training on this, and before I close here, I'm going to give you a few things that you can do as a brand new distributor. Plug in, get the training resources you need, and the support you need, and so on. But I do a little training on how to create the memory jogger, to create the prospect list, and what your criteria are is pretty simple. Look for people that have large circles of influence, because it's a lot easier to get 2 or 3 people if you talk to 20 or 30. Look for people with good credibility within those circles. Okay, somebody who may have a lot of contacts, but every single person that knows them knows they're a failure, they're lazy, they'll never be successful. That's probably the wrong person to try and build a business with, because everybody they know is going to say, well, if you're thinking it's a great thing, it's got to be a dumb thing. You know, look for people with large circles of influence, good credibility within those circles. Okay, look for people that have already achieved higher levels of success in what they do, and be clear, that doesn't mean that they are successful in the world's eyes, but it means that they have been successful within the environment they have. Example, at one point in my life, I needed extra money. I took on a position as a night shift janitor. So in addition to my work during the day, at night, I'd show up at 11 o'clock, I'd work for 6 hours, and I'd be cleaning, commercial office buildings at night. Within 6 months, I was promoted to the lead night shift janitor. And while that may not be impressive to most people, understand, I'd been there 6 months. I was promoted to the lead in my building. And that was over people that had been there much longer than me, and fellows that were much older than me. And I was the one that was promoted. Why? Because I was the one that was willing to work, willing to learn, had a burning desire to be successful. And I carried that to every element of everything I've ever done. People that tend to rise to the higher levels of success in what they do will tend to rise to the higher levels of success in whatever they do. Okay, so look for people, again, maybe not somebody that's incredibly successful in the world's eyes, but they have risen to the higher levels of success in what they do. Okay, clearly one of the prerequisites was somebody who had a credit card. Okay, if somebody has to think about investing a few $100s in a business, they're not ready to start a business. Okay, if a few $100s is going to take food out of the mouths of their babies, take the roof out from above their heads, they should not be starting a business. They need to get a job. They need to develop some security. This is best done as an adjunct, as an add-on to something to create more for the person. And yes, it's very true. I've got one. I'm going to tell her story because she tells it, and I'm not speaking out of school. Some of you know Dee Dee Shaw. Dee Dee Shaw is one of the iconic members of Zija International. She's a diamond distributor. She has built this business from home. She's a stay-at-home mom. She homeschools. I think she's probably got 7 or 8 kids at home with her. I think she's had, I don't know, a dozen, 14 kids, whatever. It's amazing that she looks so good. I mean, she says she's actually at her pre-wedding weight. Thank you, Zija Product. She just did her first, I think it was half marathon or something. Anyway, when Dee Dee Shaw saw this opportunity, it was the answer to prayer. They were going to, if she did not return back to corporate America and start making the kind of money she used to make there, they were going to lose their house. What Dee Dee did to make this work, she bought a gold pack, and she did it with the grocery money for the next week. She took the grocery money and bought, $660 worth of Zija. Now, she had that sold, if I'm not mistaken, within about 3 days, but definitely had all her money back before the next week's grocery trip. Now, everybody wants to know, how did you sell so much product so quick? How had nothing to do with it. It was why. If she didn't get all that money back, the kids were eating Zija for a week. I mean, think about that one. So you know, I'm not saying that everybody that gets involved in Zija is going to have, you know, ample, you know, quantities of money to get started. Why you do this is always going to be more important than how. Why you need to be successful. So those were the criteria for my, you know, the prospective distributor list. Is there were 12 names there. They were people that met some of those criteria: large circles of influence, good credibility within those circles, risen to higher levels of success within what they do, and they had the capacity to start if they could see what I saw. Now, out of those 12 people, 3 of them joined my business with diamond packs. Now, when you put the numbers together, the 3 customers, 3 diamond packs, and then a couple of new enrollees for each one of them, I think it was like $1,780 or something like that was my total income from the first 2 weeks, which more than paid off the diamond pack, put me into profitability. Okay, and frankly, that was one of the highest weeks income I had for a prolonged period of time, because it was based on recruiting volume. But it created the story that allowed me to then go to the next group of people I was going to prospect and say, hey, I found this great company. They got a great product. I got started here 2 weeks ago, have already made over $1,700, and I thought about you. Would you be interested in taking a look at what I've got going on? And it was much more likely people would say yes, because I had my personal story. And then as time went on, my new distributors were going, hey, I'm taking a look at this business. Looks like there's great income potential. I'm working with a guy that's already making a ton of money with it. Would you be interested in taking a look? And then I could share my story with them. Because until you have your own story, you need to use the stories of others. So, number 1 tool, both today and for the rest of your Zija career, is going to be your initial fast start story. And see, today, and I'll give you a great example. Today, my story in Zija is somewhat of a disadvantage for recruiting because it's frankly unbelievable. People have a hard time believing that you can create the kind of income I've created and you can do this part-time from home. You know, I mean, I have a hard time believing it. Okay, I wake up in the morning, I pinch myself just to make sure it's not all been a dream. My story is not really an advantage, today's story, okay? But let me tell you what people really care about. Not how much money I've got making now, not what kind of car I got now, not the size of my real estate portfolio now. What they want to know, again, it's always going to be what's in it for them. What did I do my first day, my first week, my first month? That's what they want to know, and that's why I created that story. Now, this story will follow you the rest of your Zija career. Once you have the story, you need to learn how to tell it well. How do you tell it? Background and motivation to get involved, how you got started and what you did, and results. If you do that often enough, you're going to get the people into your business that you need. The most important thing to understand is that whatever your story is your story. Let me give you a different story. My name's Bob. You know, I'm a carpenter. We've been using the product, lost weight, feel great. We bought a gold pack to launch our business, and in our first 30 days, we were able to make over $450 just sharing the product and our income opportunity. Now, that may not seem like a huge amount of money until you put it into the ears of your prospect. The average family out there would die to have an extra $400 or $500 a month in income. Okay? Imagine how much impact that could make. That story, I can use that story and recruit up a storm with it. And let me tell you who's really going to like that story is somebody who's used to making a 6-figure business, because they're going to be thinking, man, I'm going to go get a dozen of Bob's and Mary's and they're going to make me rich. Okay? You don't have to have the huge story for it to be a good story. You simply have to have a story. All right, so let me do this, folks. I'm ready to wrap up. Shared what I wanted to share with you. I'm going to open up for questions. There's a chat window there that you should be able to see, or a Q&A window. If you have questions, let me take advantage of this time to answer those questions. And while I'm looking for those of you to provide a question, a couple of quick things, especially for the new people. Okay, get plugged in. If you want to be successful in our type of business, get plugged in. Get plugged into your upline. I don't know who my upline are. Well, you can call the company and find out. It's in your back office, your line of sponsorship. There are successful people, unlike back in the early days in Zija when we were just getting started. There are very successful people that are out there that will reach out and help you, but you got to let them know you want their help. Get plugged into the resources that are available to you. Many of your upline diamond leaders have different things available for their teams, and get plugged into them. Pat Anderson has a tremendous amount of information and support tools available to her organization. Go to clubmoringa.com. Okay, I'm doing the same thing. I suggest, for people that I'm personally working with, get plugged in everywhere. Okay, go to Facebook. I have a personal page at Facebook. Friend me. I have a business page on Facebook. Like my business page. If you do those two things, there's a lot of information and tools and training I'm pushing out through social media that you will be plugged into. Go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Fred Holmes Zija. There's a lot of resources there. I've got short training videos on how to develop the prospect list. I've got a short training video on how to create the story, the 90-day game plan. I've got the original new distributor training. Learn the foundational elements that successful people in this industry either already knew or had to learn. Wednesday evening, you go to clubmoringa.com. Wednesday evening, there is a special broadcast that's all product oriented. Pat Anderson does that. She has some healthcare professional of one type or another that's always with her. It's a broadcast that's an incredible tool for not just sharing the product, by the way, it's for sharing the opportunity. Smart people, when they realize what we've got in terms of our products, they're going to see the opportunity. Thursday evening, I do it's called Biz Talks with Fred Holmes. I have somebody from the field. I do a short overview of the company, the product, the opportunity, but really the focus is on another story. I've had multi-million-dollar income earners that chose to come to Zija because of the potential with our opportunity. I have brand new distributors like Tanya Valdez from this past Tuesday or Thursday. So get plugged into those resources. If you want, get on my email list. Okay, go to my website, fredholmes.com. www.fredholmes.com. Click on contact. That's where you find all my contact information, my email, my cell phone, my home phone, my favorite color, my shoe size, everything's there. And then scroll to the bottom of the page and sign up for my newsletter. Okay, that's my team email list. That way you can be getting updated information on what's happening and the tools and the events and so on that we're providing for our team in Zija. So with that, we're coming to the conclusion. I'm going to just double check here. No questions yet. Going once, going twice. Folks, if you have a question, put it out there, because there are no such things as stupid questions, just silly people that didn't ask. You like that? That's not the way you've heard it before, right? All right. Well, thank you, Mary. I always appreciate your feedback. Well, folks, it looks like I did my job today. Got one more question. Well, thank you, Tanya. Appreciate that. And thank you, Tanya, for sharing your story with me earlier this week. It was because Tanya Valdez has an incredibly compelling story. I must have spent 30 minutes early this week, this past week, listening to her story and realizing how important her story is that needs to be heard in Zija Land. But we took that 30-minute story and we compressed it into 60 seconds. And the reason is not because the story wasn't great. The purpose of the story is to create interest in a prospect's mind. That's the purpose of the story. Let's see here. We do have one question. What is your favorite way to introduce someone to the opportunity? Okay. You know, I got to tell you, that's a great, what's my favorite way to introduce somebody to the opportunity? It's always about looking for the need. Okay. I personally prefer to work with people that I know. I don't like cold market. I don't like walking down the street prospecting people. Part of it is because there's no relationship. I don't have any credibility in those people's eyes. You know, I'm not into cold marketing. I don't know the people, so therefore I don't know what it is that I have that they might be interested in. If there's a single reason I don't do cold marketing, it's because it's not duplicatable by the masses. I only do what is duplicatable by the masses. My favorite way to introduce somebody to the opportunity is to help them solve a problem. If I hear somebody saying, man, we just got hammered with taxes this year, I don't know what we're going to do after the first year and we have to come up with that money. Okay. I don't know if you'd be interested, but I've got a program where, you know, people can make quite a bit of money in a very short period of time. Would that be something you'd be interested in looking at? Okay. When I hear people talking about, you know, one of my favorite examples as a generic example, young couple got one baby, second one's on the way. And I hear them saying, you know, geez, I sure wish there was, you know, some way we could create some additional income. I mean, babies are expensive. We'd love to have a way where, you know, mom can stay home and raise the kids. Well, you know, I'm working with a gal that's been able to create a significant income working part-time from home. Maybe that's something you might be interested in. Okay. I prefer to identify if there's a reason for my opportunity, because if there's a reason for my opportunity, then people are going to be a whole lot more likely to want to get the information. Let me see if, let's see, I answered that live. Okay, very good. And what else we got here? Thank you for that. It's very helpful. I use who to put on which leg. Oh, I got a question here, and then I'll go ahead and do that one. Is there a strategy that I use on who to put in each leg? Okay, especially for the brand new people, understand we've got a binary compensation plan. We get paid on the amount of volume that we balance across the leg. So if you have 2,000 in volume this week on one leg and 1,000 on the other, you'll get paid on the 1,000 volume that you can balance across both legs. And the leg that had the extra volume, that volume stays banked to be used the next week or the week after or whatever. Now, the strategy, this is going to be kind of simple. Okay, you can get too carried away strategizing it. Here are the two rules of thumb you use for building a binary organization, and I'm going to tell you, if this is all you ever do, you'll probably never need to know anything else, okay? Number one, only enroll at the outsides of your leg. When you enroll that first person underneath your position, there's now two legs, two places you can enroll. Never enroll inside, always enroll outside. So always enroll to the outsides of your legs. Number two, balance your legs based on volume, not based upon people. Okay, so for instance, if you have 50 people in this leg and 100 people in this leg, you might think, well, I need to put my new person over where I only have 50 people. We don't get paid on how many people are there. We get paid upon the volume that's being created. So if you have 100 people over here, but it's only doing 10,000 in volume, you have 50 people on this side, but they're doing 15,000 in volume, you put your next new person on the leg that has the least amount of volume, okay, or the lesser amount of volume. So always enroll to the outsides of the legs. Balance your legs based upon volume, not based upon numbers of people. Never try and fill it in like it's a matrix going across outsides of the legs. Hope that helped. If it didn't help, you know, either contact your upline diamond or contact me. Be happy to you know, fill in a little bit more. Would you share why a three-way call is effective? Oh my goodness. Okay, here's the system, folks. I have trainings on my YouTube channel where I talk specifically about the system. 3 steps: invitation, presentation, validation. I can explain why this works, but I'm going to tell you, folks, if I have to explain why it works, then you are missing one of the most important ingredients to success. If you bring this to the table, you can create success within our company. Willingness to work, got to have good work ethics. Willingness to learn, you got to be coachable. Burning desire to succeed. Why you need to be successful is critically important, because if it's important enough to be successful, it will keep you in long enough to achieve the success you're looking for. Pure and simple. Now, the second component there is you got to be coachable. Okay, that was my greatest asset when I started in this industry. I didn't ask why we do this. I didn't suggest how I was planning to do this. The guy that was my sponsor was already $1 million earner. He already had documented he could do this. I figured out that I wanted what he had. I also figured out he wasn't gonna make any money off me unless he taught me everything he knew. I just wanted to know, what do I do next? Okay. 3 steps to the system. Invitation, that's what you do. Invite somebody to look at the information. Presentation, that's what the tools do. Keep it simple, keep it short. Remember, there is no amount of information you can provide during that presentation that will cause somebody to sign up. 3rd step in the system is third-party validation. Somebody else sharing the story. Third-party validation is critical. It is essential, and you need to get to that step of the 3-step system as fast as possible, and it's very simple. People will join if they believe that there is an opportunity for them, if they believe that it's something they can do. You can't be that person. When I prospect somebody, I go through 3 steps. I ask them if they're open to get some information. I send out a couple of quick little videos, but I put somebody else on the phone. I use somebody else's validation, because we need to demonstrate the system. Okay, that's why we do the system. People will do what we do. And most importantly, it doesn't make any difference what your story is. Okay, your story is either going to be too good or too bad. You got to have somebody else. My case, my story is too good. So I'll put one of my downline on to help me prospect somebody, because their story is more believable. If you haven't gotten much of a story yet, you need an upline story to document that the results that are available. And folks, if you have a good story, learn how to tell it well, and then just share that story over and over and over and over again, you're going to get the results you're looking for. I got time for one more question here. Thanks, Fred. Hope you have a great weekend. Well, thank you, Andrea. I hope you have a wonderful weekend as well. Folks, we have so much going on with Zija right now. We're in the last 30 days of the year. For those of you that have been, that heard what I said a month ago, you know, and you know, it was actually about 9-10 weeks ago when I started this process. The most important time of the year to be consistent about your daily method of operation is now. You're not going to necessarily be getting the results you're looking for, but you are going to be setting up for to hit 2018 out of the gate. And folks, you're going to get results. I'm going to tell you right now, one of our diamond leaders this week was able to accomplish, get higher volume this past week than she's had in probably 90 days at the height of the Christmas season. Okay, if you're doing the deal, you're going to be getting the results. They won't be the results you're necessarily looking for, but they're going to be incredible results that'll set you up for 2018. Okay, now, thank you for your questions. I'm going to run because I've hit the allotted time that I had. This upcoming week, I'm at it just like everybody else. Plug in. Make sure you're using your upline stories. Plug in with me. Wednesday evening, Health Talks with Pat Anderson. Thursday evening, Biz Talks with Fred. Saturday morning, new distributor training. This is our last cycle of period, folks. Let's close it out strong. Excited for every single one of you. Okay, that's it. Now I'm finally done. All right. Have a great rest of your weekend, folks. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you on next week's broadcast. Take care. Bye-bye.